Welcome to the Save Par Golf Podcast, where two average golfers talk about golf and things. I'm your host, Derek.
I'm kind of sad that this season's ending.
It's the last one of the year.
Last one of the year.
It's a banger, though.
It is.
We are currently in episode 157. This is Dom Dom. We have a very special guest today. He's actually in studio with us here, Jack, with 10K Takes. They deliver the most entertaining and unfiltered takes in Minnesota and beyond. Make sure to give them a follow on Instagram. Their handle is at 10K Takes. That's the number 10K Takes, Takes. Special thanks to Thomas for allowing us to use this space. We're at Par 365. Par 365 is an indoor simulator and lounge located in Roseville, Minnesota. Space is super dope. It's open to all skill levels. Make sure to give them a follow on Instagram as well. That is at Par 365. Jack, thanks so much for taking the time.
I didn't know we were in Roseville.
Yep, we're in Roseville. It's kind of like border. It's technically like Roseville, but
I thought it was Rosedale,
no.
to be honest with you.
Rosedale. Isn't Roseville technically?
That's a mall.
I was gonna say that's a mall. I think.
I was gonna say, to your credit, I've screwed that up before too.
Yeah.
Rosedale is the mall of Roseville.
Stupid.
Yes.
Love that.
We are in Roseville. It's
Good
actually
mall. Good
Go
mall.
mall.
Yeah, we are located literally. I live downtown Minneapolis, and it was less than 15 minutes. So
Must be nice.
it was a very nice commute. Cool, like I said, cool spot. It's got 6 bays here.
We're in like one of the party bays.
Yeah, very nice.
These about golf simulators too are some of the best ones.
For sure.
Like it.
These ones, and then the ones that move based on
Yep.
where you lie.
That would be wild.
Like these are my favorite two types of simulators. So
Well, we did have a challenge. We played closest to the pin, and we of course let Thomas win. So,
Yeah.
he runs Par 365, so we wanted to get invited again. So, but yeah, a special thanks to Thomas for allowing us to use this space. Jack, we met over this past year at the 3M Media Day, which was awesome. So we didn't win the event, but we had the most fun.
we eagled 18.
we did Eagle
I
18.
was gonna say, do you guys remember the magic that happened on hole 18? I'm not talking about in the tournament.
We still bring that up.
Oh yeah, I bring it up too.
It was that's the definition of a scramble team, right?
Right.
Everyone had their own shot.
Yep. And
Other than Marlowe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or I think we let him make. Did he make the putt?
I made the
You
putt.
made the putt.
I made
Drained
the
the
putt.
eagle putt.
Okay.
Because I hit
You
the drive.
pumped the tee shot,
Yep.
and then we had someone lay up. Maybe Marlowe laid up.
I think
Maybe.
so.
And then I-
front yard.
You ripped a hybrid.
Yep, over
Yeah.
the water. And thank God the wind was at the back.
Yeah.
Woo. I think it was.
I can't even fathom how those guys play that hole. Not only that, we were playing on like the white tees essentially,
Yeah.
basically, and they're playing from the tips, which is 100 yards behind us.
You know what's crazy? That par 3 17. Yeah. Obviously, when we played it, there's the everything's up. So there's like the grandstand and then everything's open. I feel like this really long par 3. And then seeing where they play.
Oh yeah, it was.
It's even further.
Over the cart path up that hill,
Yeah,
and
over
then
the water.
they got to hit it directly over the water where we can bail out right pretty easily.
And they can throw darts too. It's just insane.
Yeah,
I want to stand up there and just be like, no, I'm good.
you got to hit it. You got to be like, just let me hit one celeb shot.
Yeah, just one. So again, special thanks to Jack. So you started 10K Takes.
Yep.
Can you kind of just share your story of what 10K Takes is and how it all began?
Yeah, so I went to college at University of North Dakota, graduated in fall of 2019, had a couple of startups in college that didn't work out too well, and I was just moved back into my parents, had no direction of what I wanted to do. And, I'd always loved making videos, editing, sports, like even, more entertaining media companies like Barstool.
Yep.
And just being a lifelong Minnesota sports fan, I just realized that, we do have great media that covers sports here, but we don't have anything that's more fun and more from the fans' perspective and is more kind of authentic and unfiltered. So I was like, I'm gonna make a run at doing Minnesota sports, but in more of a kind of degenerate way per se. And Zane Wagner, who was he lived in the same suite as me in North Dakota, basically a roommate. I know he wanted to do something similar when we were still in school.
Sure.
So I recruited him. And then he was like, I know this other guy who's famously known as journalist Jake, or the guy who's impersonated Kirk.
He does an amazing Kirk.
Yeah, and he does all the dumb stuff. Like if you go to our page,
He does all like the Mike Hawk and
I saw him get zapped.
he got tased in Buffalo. Yep, when we were there. Great football game, by the way. 2 years ago, that was the famous
was that 2 years ago already?
2022. Yep. So yeah, we went to Buffalo, New York. Went out after the game, had a couple cocktails, and basically Jake just started doing the gritty. And one of our other friends paid the bouncer $100 to stun gun Jake a couple times. And that video wasn't
signing
nothing. No. And some guy came up to me at Off the Rails yesterday and was like, dude, or it might have been at the tailgate. He's like, I was in Buffalo at that bar. That was hilarious. And I'm like, oh, dude, yeah. I was like, I just reshared that video because that might be the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. Do you get upset, or do you like when people like, compare you to like a Barstool Sports?
No, because I mean, if you think about entrepreneurship, like you either come up with a brand new concept or you do something that already exists and you spin it in your own way and do it somewhere where they're not doing it. Yeah. So to be honest, I'm still a fan of a lot of their stuff. Like we were at the Vikings Bears game last night, and the guys from Barstool Chicago I'm good friends with, so we were hanging out with them, and it's just kind of fun to bounce stuff off each other, and especially having them who have trailblazed an industry for people like us who want to cover sports in a more digital way. So like they blaze the trail for all of us. So,
and I think you do a really good job of that, to not be like we're the Barstool of Minnesota, but like you said, you have your own spin on it,
right?
But I think you do a very good job of that. We talked about it before. Look, off air is like, it's so important, I think, to not only put out good content, but to be able to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And so people can actually relate to like, okay, it's not just a meme or a video. It's actually, this is Jack, right?
Yeah. And authenticity is key too.
Yes.
Like I would say that if there was a word to represent us at 10K, we're kind of dorky, to be honest. Mm-hmm. Like we're more of goofballs than, tool bags that, some other brands have. So it's like, for us, that's just who we are naturally. And I don't know if some people get turned off by it because our humor is just so different from the average person's, but also I think people just see that we're just ourselves and there's nothing we're hiding or changing. So
I think that's so true though. Like I never really got that vibe from you guys as being like, oh, these guys are like douchey. Maybe it's because I'm also a Minnesota sports fan and you're out, you know what I mean? Like we're Minnesotans, we can kind of relate a little bit, but I think the content that you guys put out is, like you said, authentic, but also funny.
You can't be in the center of this world and think that you're better than anybody, especially when it comes to sports and stuff, because most sports fans are the same, right? Like we probably spend way too much of our lives on these not meaningless things, but at least for Minnesota sports fans, it never really results in anything. The thousands of dollars spent and the merchandise and all of the hope and all of the time, and it usually just results in heartbreak. But it's who we are and it's our lives. So you kind of just have to go with the punches. And
for sure.
When you're at the center of that, you can't act like you're better than anybody because you're not.
Dom, did you want to mention something there a second ago?
No, I think what sets like 10K apart from Barstool, first of all, being compared to Barstool, I'd imagine is kind of flattering.
Right? It is. And when people try to say it in a negative way, like you're just trying to be like them, I'm like, yeah, no shit. They're very good at what they do.
Yeah.
That's like starting a fast food company and everyone says you're trying to be like McDonald's. It's like, yeah, we're trying to be worth $1 billion.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, no kidding. So,
but like, I think what sets it apart, Derek hit it on the head. It's like made by fans for the fans, right? Right. Like,
mm-hmm.
I have friends who get way too invested in the Vikings.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the Viking season ends, they're just depressed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to me, that's the dumbest thing. But then like as a fan, you're also like, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you guys embody that really well, whether it's, the Gopher football, because you'll do everything through like collegiate all the way through the pros.
Oh yeah.
Because like the Gophers don't get much look because it's the Minnesota Gophers.
Right.
Like because of the profession. We like some states obviously don't have professional sports.
Well, right. But in terms of like college, they're not the biggest college, right?
Yeah.
It's not like it's the University of Wisconsin where
definitely a lot more niche compared to more like a Michigan or Ohio.
Exactly.
Anyone in the SEC
or even like the newer Big Ten guys like USC and UCLA, right? Like those are big.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, you can go on Instagram and be like, oh man, that dude's imitating the line coach for the Gophers. And you're just like, like the Gophers, like that. To me, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And as you guys were saying, he does a great job.
Oh yeah.
Like sometimes I get annoyed by it, but I'm like, that means he's doing a pretty good job.
Yeah. He's pretty good at being annoying. So
He does really good
he
job.
would even admit that.
But like it's annoying in like a good way where you're like, it's annoying how much I relate to that.
Right.
Right? You're
Yeah.
just like,
So how depressed was he when Kirk got, when they obviously let him go and he went over to?
I saw this video where he's like, hey, I had a good run as Kirk,
Yeah. I'm
and
glad he put it to sleep. People were like, "You gonna buy a Falcons jersey?" He's like, "That's stupid. I can't.
no.
I can't." You don't want to drag out a bit too long.
Exactly.
Like we have some things that we do well, but sometimes we just put them to sleep just
Mhm.
because it's like you gotta change it up and innovate, or else
Sure.
you guys know this industry changes every single day, so you gotta be.
You don't want to be too niche.
No,
I think that's
you
what
gotta be
kills.
really flexible too.
Yeah, I think that's what kills companies, and not the companies, but even like good ideas where it's like it's like that's a great idea, but it's like 4 years too late.
Right.
It's just like
So you
Yeah.
thought about that.
you pretty much cover most sports, Minnesota sports, obviously.
Mhm.
What are your personal like favorite sports to cover? Like,
Yeah. I would say my number one team by far is the Wild.
Oh, God.
I'm a diehard hockey fan.
This is actually why I wore the jersey. I got this for
Yeah.
$5 at a thrift store, and I wore this in honor of.
Yeah,
Jack-
I still miss Nino Niederreiter.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he scored against us.
Is he still in Carolina?
Yes, is he? No,
I'm not 100%
he might have got
sure.
traded somewhere. I swear to God, it was either him or maybe it was Granlund.
I'm
It might have been
a-
Granlund.
I'm a
who scored
big
against
Granlund
us. I miss Granlund.
Yep.
Number one scorer on the Sharks, by the way. But
Crazy.
yeah, the Wild. I do really like football, the Vikings. I'm also a Colts fan as well. There's a
Oh, interesting. I didn't know.
whole nother story behind that. But
You must have been a roller coaster in that game.
oh yeah, I'm kind of mad I went to it, to be honest.
Yeah.
33-0-1.
Yeah, you're just happy both teams had.
Did you stay the whole time?
I
Alex?
did.
Okay,
I
well, at
did.
least you stayed the whole time.
Yeah.
Even though it was like still. Were you really pulling for Minnesota, or were you kind of?
I was. So like when you're rooting for two teams like that, it's usually if they're going to play each other, the one who has a better chance of
Mhm.
winning. And that year it was like Matt Ryan, and he had probably 4 rolls of tape around each ankle. And
Did you get one of those custom like Vikings?
I should have. See, I was going to get one of those for this year, but the game jumped up fast on me. Like
Sure.
it was week 6 or
Yeah, it was
7, and
in the beginning.
this NFL season flies by so
Mhm.
fast. You can't.
Look, we just literally like
You know,
out here, and all of a sudden we're closer to the.
we're in that weird time where you're thinking about playoff scenarios, and then you kind of just let the rest of the season go by because you're only thinking about playoffs. We got to savor every single week that comes.
week to week. Yeah, I got to take.
Especially the Packers and Lions, those are going to be fun. Those are basically playoff games. So
Mhm.
at least we have that. But I like golf a lot, honestly. I mean, when all these fall sports are happening, it's in our world, it's really hectic trying to keep up with all of it. But what's nice in the summertime is you kind of can take a breather, and we like the Twins, and obviously I love like major tournaments in golf, and I'm a Formula One fan, so that's a big summer thing too.
Did you get into that because of the F1
Oh, yeah.
Netflix series,
Yep.
or was it prior to that?
No, I'm a bandwagoner
Okay.
from Netflix, and I'm the F1 realist will tell you that if you started watching because of Netflix, you're not a real fan. But it's like, oh, boo-hoo, your sport is growing. Doesn't that suck?
It just kind of like shows like how well Netflix is doing to actually get other people engaged.
Yeah.
Grow. It's kind of like with the golf.
Yeah, full
I mean,
swing.
full
I bet a lot
swing.
of people got turned on to golf because of that.
Yeah, and I cause same thing with the F1. I'm not nearly as like. I mean, I'm kind of a casual fan because it's an international, worldwide type of deal.
Yeah.
But I'll tune in if it's on the TV. But
Yeah.
I will say they do a really good job of really like getting you to connect with each driver and each
Yep.
team. It's
Yeah.
they did a very good job.
The only tough thing about that sport is the races are on at like 6 or 7 a.m. and
Yes,
they're on Sunday mornings, and 9 times out of 10 on a Sunday morning, I'm probably hungover. So, it's like it can be tough. At least though, there's been a lot more American races,
Yep.
which those ones are great, or even any race in North America because it's actually on at like 2
reasonable time.
or 3 o'clock local time.
Are you going to try to cover like in Las Vegas?
That race? The price of it dropped significantly this year, which was great. Last year was just stupid.
It was.
It was way too expensive. They made it way too bougie, and then the track sucked. If you guys remember the pothole
Yep.
incident, that
Mhm.
Ruined a whole car.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
and that guy Carlos Sainz had ruined his entire weekend because then he got put to the back of the grid. He get penalized for that, by the way, which is even more bananas. So I think they learned their lesson. Like, okay, maybe we're not big dogs, just like we thought.
Yeah.
So But yeah, it'd be cool to go out there one of these years for it. It's just, once again, it's tough because that race is usually in October, and that's when the Vikes and the Wild and the Wolves are in full swing, and maybe even the Twins still at that point sometimes.
For sure. What's your favorite?
Well, hold on. Now that we're talking about it, I have a great question that you may or may not love.
Okay,
I think you're gonna hate it.
sure.
We're gonna ask it
Okay.
because we've been talking about authenticity, right?
Yeah.
So if you can move one team, Wild, Vikings, any team in Minnesota, out of Minnesota, who would you pick and why?
I'd say the obvious answer right now is probably the Twins,
Right.
because the ownership has just butchered the team.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, they're selling.
Yeah.
And
Allegedly.
I've heard that these owners from the Suns
I heard that too.
are
The brothers
potentially
are
buying. Yeah, the brothers there. So that would be cool. But if we're talking current state, I mean, did you guys see how bad the attendance was the last month?
I have season tickets.
You have season tickets?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
Yeah.
I know. It's
Yeah.
good. But
I mean,
that's
do
probably the right answer.
I'll go to the Twins games even if it's just me. I'll sit there and I'll cheer.
Yeah, I will too.
You know,
For
whatever.
everyone who was saying, like, we got to stop showing up to games, it's like, I'm not going to do that.
No, I love it too much.
Quiz games are so
If-
much fun.
Yes, and especially in like June when that's the only sport happening.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
trying to get your fix and you want to have a fun night out at the ballpark. Like,
Hot dog and beer outside.
I'm not enough of a guy to make a difference to where ownerships can be like, well, Jack Leverance didn't show up, so yeah, we better pay some guy $100 million to come in. And,
Right?
yeah, like, come on. But
That's a good question, but that is I mean, I don't know enough about the United, or I mean, I know a little bit of the United. They just got the new stadium or newer
Mhm.
stadium, and then the Frost, obviously.
yep,
The
Oh,
women's hockey.
Yeah, and
the United. I'm not a big soccer guy, and I feel bad because we do almost mock it to the point where like on our show 10K TV we did like a Loons update
Mhm.
where I would say like one sentence about what was happening.
Mhm.
Like they made it to the semifinals, which was
Yeah.
cool. I
Mhm.
think that was a big deal. But soccer is just it's so weird to me the way they run some things.
Yeah.
Like when they won the game to get into the Western or to the conference finals,
They
they didn't play for like 2 weeks.
So one of my former staff was actually a writer for the United
okay.
when he was in high school because I would have to proofread all of his things for his grammar and his
Yeah.
English. But smart kid. I mean, he just graduated with his second degree, so I don't want to make him sound like he's an idiot. But at the same time, I'm like, I should not be the one proofreading.
I mean the games are fun.
they're fun. I haven't been to the new stadium, but
Okay.
I used to live in Ham Lake, so
Yeah.
we'd go to the stadium in Blaine,
Yeah.
and I mean for the price,
Yep.
10,
Okay.
15 bucks.
So I said, why don't the United play for 2 weeks? This was on November 10th.
Yeah, right. That's what
He said it's
Did he
stupid.
reply 2 weeks
Yes.
later?
No,
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm on soccer time.
no, like 10 minutes later. Clearly had nothing else to do. He goes, it's stupid scheduling for the MLS, but the next 2 weeks are an international window where countries get their games.
Oh.
So players have to go to international team duties for a week and then come back. The super part is that the MLS built the postseason schedule to have this lull right up to where things are heating up.
Right.
Yeah,
So,
it's a weird.
so the
move on their
United
part.
win to get in, and now they're done for 2 weeks just to come back and lose.
Yeah. Could you like imagine if football was like that? I mean,
Okay.
technically the Super Bowl they take They don't. They
It's
take
not 2 weeks. It's a week off.
I think it's 2 weeks
I thought it's a week off.
because there's a whole week of media.
because then there's the All Star week, or
Yeah.
sorry, the Pro Bowl week.
Yeah.
So it is 2 weeks off.
Yeah.
But that's at least for
one
the
big
champion
game where it's also advantage for them too, where they can actually rest up.
Right.
And-
Whereas I feel like, yeah. But no, like the United games are fun. I mean, I have a good friend who has season tickets in one of the corners. And when he can't go, he always offers me the tickets.
Mhm.
So I've sat there a couple times. It's cool. Like the players because, the guys on the bench, they always have to stay warm. So they're constantly like doing high knees and they'll run by you and they got a coach who's jogging behind them, yelling shit at them.
Oh, is the stadium?
It's fun.
Is it?
It's cool. I mean, just like any stadium, it's kind of pricey, but they have like this entire beer hall on one of the
Mhm.
Okay.
back walls. Actually, we're trying to get our beer captain's patch into that area. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, you guys know, like if you watch any football or soccer on TV, the fans are just cheering the entire game. Like there's not another sport like that
There
where
isn't really.
they're chanting.
Yeah.
They'll be losing like 3-0 and they're still beating the
die
drums
hard.
and waving the
Like
flag.
they're winning 6-0.
Yeah, and we have like I don't even know if they track this like 2 shots on goal
Right.
or something. Like
That's a good segue though.
I think
'cause
they
you-
track it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, talking about your beer,
Yep.
it's very cool. So you partnered with a local brewery, correct?
Yep, Elm Creek Brewing in Champlin.
Champion.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that kind of came about?
Yeah, so I mean, over the years, we've had a lot of different breweries reach out wanting to work with us on stuff, and at least it was always my dream to have a beer with our name on it, and Elm Creek reached out just like a couple of other breweries have done, and they were like, well, we should do events or this and that, and that stuff's cool, but I was like, we want to do a beer, and they were like, all right, done. So it took about a year between sampling different flavors they wanted to do. Coming up with a name is the hardest part, by the way, because there's like basically a database full of beer names, and if something else is there, you can't use it because most of them have a copyright or trademarked or whatever. But and then there was like the brewing process, which we actually helped brew the first batch, kind of learned about how all it worked. Our buddy Zooch, who I don't think you guys have met, basically spilled an entire bag of grain. So yeah, it just proves that we're like the most casual guys. We probably should be nowhere near the brewer. But it was like, oh, cool, we got it on video. Like he screwed up and now it's on video. That's funny, but
that's very cool.
And then the graphic design part of it, multiple revisions. I mean, just a lot of coordinating.
And we haven't even tried it yet, so shame on us. But how's the taste? Have you tasted it?
No.
Okay.
No, it's good. It's obviously I don't think we were gonna go for like a lager or light just because there's so much, you're gonna compete with the big dogs. Yep. So we decided on a raspberry shandy. So if you've ever had like a summer shandy by Lenny Kugels, this is that with a little hint of raspberry to it.
Okay.
And we're coming out with more flavors of it, but if you go to captainspatch.com, it's sold all over the state right now. It's also being sold in North Dakota. And then I believe we just got into Wisconsin. So
why did you go a shandy instead of a lot? Like, I mean, obviously, like there's a lot of it, but how did you settle on like a shandy versus like a sour? Or
I'm not going to lie, the brewery kind of thought of that. Okay. And they just put stuff in front of me and they asked a group of us what we like best. Yeah. I mean, they kind of understand that market research more.
Sure.
I'm just guessing there's not really a lot of shandies out there.
I can't think of any other than Lining Kugels.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I mean, there's probably other.
Sam Adams has one that's really good.
And I bet all the other like local breweries have shandies, but none that they are pushing as hard as we're pushing this.
Sure. So you said it took about a year.
Yeah.
How does that work? Are you gonna is there like an X amount of beers that you produce?
What would our beer be? Because we like very different beer.
Yeah, that's like you said. I think it's kind of up to the brewers on what it would be, and I think they did a really good job.
They're the people to trust.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an IPA guy.
Sure,
I'm very much not an IPA guy.
You're either one or the other. I'm an IPA guy too.
Yeah. No, not at all. I'd rather drink dirt.
You mean eat it?
No. I'm a drinker. I'm a drinker.
Maybe add some milk, make it like a protein shake.
There you go.
Chocolate milk, cookies and cream.
Throw some vodka in there.
Tequila guy.
Oh, okay.
But we party over here.
Yeah. I would say like it makes sense if you're trying to start have your own beer. It'd be something like you said, either a shandy or like something lighter or a lager versus. I mean, IPA is such a niche type of beer.
Yeah,
there's people that like it, and if it is good, I'm sure they'll buy plenty of it. But like when you guys negotiated this, is it like we're going to produce this amount of beer? Like how does it?
Yeah. So it's more of like. They just said, we're going to go as hard as we can at making and distributing it, as long as you guys go as hard as you can at marketing it.
Sure.
And so that's kind of how it works. I mean, it's, they brew all of it. We don't handle any of the distribution. It is nice. Like, shout out to my guy, Taylor, who works there, who got this all hooked up. He, if there's a bar or a restaurant that wants to stock it, I just kind of connect those two. And next thing you know,
take care of it.
Patches there.
Sure.
He also was able to get us into the XL Energy Center.
Mm-hmm.
So if sections 105, 113, C13 now has Captain's Patch sold there, which is really cool.
Nice. Are those 16 ounces?
Yes. Okay. Yep. So they're the tall boys or the halfway ones. Yeah. So
cool.
Yeah. So that was like our biggest, I'd say, achievement of the year, and then just an assortment of bars and restaurants that sold at. It's a little trickier this time of year, just being in the wintertime, because we're trying to say, just because summer shandy is only a summer beer doesn't mean ours has to be.
Yeah.
Like the whole seasonal beer thing is kind of bananas when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have to drink certain beers in certain seasons. I think that's more just a mental thing that someone started saying. So we're selling this in the winter and it's still doing well. But we're looking
paving the way. You're like the Barstool of sports of paving the way for drinking.
Yeah.
I do feel really weird drinking like an Oktoberfest in like June.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like those really like deep, dark, wintry beers in like July. I'm like,
you're not gonna bring that on the boat, right?
right.
So,
I'm like
I
that's
hear it.
kind of weird, but
Yeah,
like I agree. Like my favorite beer is the Canoe Paddler from
Okay.
Leinenkugel,
yeah,
but they only make it in the spring.
right.
And you can drink it right now, probably, right?
Oh,
So
Yeah,
I think
Crack it
that
open.
kind of beer would do better all year round.
right.
Like you said, yeah, a darker beer probably doesn't.
when I like that it's raspberry because raspberry I don't always think of as like spring, summer.
Right.
Like how good would that have been of like Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
And you're getting like
you know what I
it's
mean?
fruit, so like you're gonna
Yep.
get, it's probably all organic,
Yep.
0 cals.
Not quite. Not quite. Whenever people ask me how many calories in it, I just say I forget.
Yeah,
I'm like, you gotta buy a can and look at it.
yeah. Look at the label when you buy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. But it's cool, man. It's
very exciting.
part of the dream come true for sure that we find. Like I said, it was about a year's worth of work, but it was all worth it in terms of, we wanted to do it right, roll it out
Sure.
the right way. So
Do you ever get nervous? Like, because I know you've been on the news.
mhm.
You've obviously interviewed some pretty cool people.
Yeah.
You're on the Jumbotron at the Twins game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you're recording with us. Obviously, not
Yeah.
bragging, but
I'm nervous.
do you get nervous? Like, is that something? I mean,
No.
you kind of embrace it. Like, how do you
At
take-
first I kind of did, but yeah, once you just realize that it's all fun and it's, I would be nervous in more of like a negative situation.
Sure.
Like we got a C&D from the NHL last year on some hats we made. If you don't know what a C&D is, it's cease and
Cease and
desist.
desist.
That's the kind of nervous I get is more on like the business side and the operation side when things go wrong. But in terms of, in front of the camera on the Jumbotron, the news stuff, I love it.
I kind of figure that because you do such a good job of it. But yeah, you can tell sometimes when people are nervous and aren't.
Yeah.
nervous, and
it's been just so long since we started. I mean, I for sure think at first when we were making stuff, I mean, it's hard to get in front of the camera and especially like just be yourself and especially when you're, doing goofier things like we are, like the sports games and costumes. It definitely takes some thicker skin, but
and then you got people reposting it, which is what you really want.
yeah,
But at the same token, it's like, okay, that's a little nerve wracking, and all of a sudden now your video is
yeah,
all over the world. Which,
Right.
Again, it's what you're kind of looking.
yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be kind of like so we talked about before. It's kind of a vulnerable. I can't even talk. Being really vulnerable.
yeah, for sure.
Oh, do you know what I'm gonna say?
And
No, I can't really not. I guess.
Vulnerable.
Yeah,
vulnerable. There you
yeah,
go.
yeah. There we go.
Yeah,
It's okay.
I'm just gonna skip it.
That's what I'm hearing.
My sister-in-law is a speech language pathologist, so I'm just gonna.
Oh.
just tell me out.
Is that
Yeah.
what she does?
Yeah.
That's
Where you can
scary.
just AI over all the parts that you threw up.
Should we-
The robot TikTok
Insert-
voice.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
The TikTok voice.
Yeah. The narrator.
I don't know how to do that. Probably a good thing I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
But going back to that, it's really cool, but also probably really nerve-wracking. Like
Yeah.
that's what we want to do.
Right. Right.
Do you get any like crazy like DMs or do you get like ideas for takes? Do people send you stuff like, hey,
Yeah. I mean, some of the best things we've done have been ideas that fans of ours have sent in, like, hey, there's this event happening. You guys should go here and do this, or this was funny. And the cool thing is they just appreciate what we do. So they're not going to ask for anything in
Credit
or whatever. They're just like, hey, this was funny. This was a funny thing that these guys did. You guys should do something similar like that here. And so, or just some of my best ideas have come to me at like 2 o'clock in the morning. You're just laying in bed and you're like, roll over, you put in your phone, you're like, this.
I'm gonna put in my notes so I don't forget
Yeah.
it tomorrow.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What has been like the most difficult thing about starting 10K Ticks?
Well, I think the first thing was getting it off the ground. I started it by myself in 2019. And if you think about what happened in March of 2020, that was a pretty rough time to have trying to get something like this off the ground.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think it was just during that entire time, still being motivated to create content in some way, despite the fact that, we're basing it in Minnesota sports, around Minnesota sports and outdoors and events and stuff, when like you weren't even allowed to leave your house.
Sure.
So I think just, sticking with it. I mean, that's the hardest thing I think of any startup is, despite facing challenges and swinging and missing quite a bit, is just getting up the next day and trying again.
Sure. No, it's well said.
Yeah.
Okay, so you met Mike Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Did you touch his butt?
I did not touch his butt. No, I think he probably would have Alan from The Hangover me and
Worth it.
knocked me out.
Would that not be worth it though?
If you're getting
I think I'd rather touch his bicep, dude. Dude is ripped.
I'd rather touch his butt.
I mean,
Just get it on video of me getting knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could probably just ask him to knock you out.
He
He,
probably
he, he probably enjoys it, to be honest.
I probably enjoy
So, what did you think about the Jake Paul Tyson deal?
Yeah, I saw all the replays of the WWE style punches being thrown, and he's an old man. Like Jake Paul, if Jake Paul punched him as hard as he can, he might do permanent damage to a guy who probably already has permanent damage.
The only thing I give credit to Jake Paul is he got Mike Tyson a bag for sure.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So like, there's that.
his
Right.
marketing is crazy.
What did you guys see? Speaking of the Pauls today,
Yeah, I saw
McGregor versus Logan Paul.
Is that happening?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's apparently in the works.
Are they boxing or is
yeah.
it MMA?
yeah, boxing. It would
Why-
be funny if they did MMA.
Well, I want Conor to beat the shit out of him.
Oh yeah, he would
He would, yeah.
break every bone in his body if it was.
It's amazing, like how different though. Like, I mean, Logan Paul boxed. If you were to like have an A-ball and be like, hey, is Logan Paul gonna box Floyd Mayweather? You'd be like, there's no shot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how, like you said, like the Logan brothers, love them or hate them, they know how
Paul
to.
brothers.
Or the Paul, not Logan. Logan, is,
yeah.
the Paul brothers. It's amazing how well they can promote. And
Well, and
market.
it's funny how much more liked one is in the sports world than the other one is, right? Because at least like Logan, you look at him and what he's doing to the WWE, which I don't watch WWE.
Yeah, I used to back in the
I've
day.
never really been a fan,
Mhm.
but you look at him and you're like, the physique's great, and it's like he's putting on a show,
Yeah, he's a showman.
and he's an athlete. Where
Right.
it's like you watch Jake fight, and you're sitting there constantly wondering, you're like, how real is this?
Yeah.
You know, it almost feels like they should almost reverse
Right.
to where Jake should do the WWE and Logan box, because I feel like when Logan does box, it's like a legitimate fight.
I think Jake's a good boxer, but it's hard to tell because he's not fighting against.
And when he does
Yeah.
fight against a boxer, he loses.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
but they do a heck of a job. I mean, kudos to them. But yeah, it'd be pretty wild to see Logan and Conor.
I mean, if you told like middle school me that was a big fan of the Paul brothers on Vine,
Mhm.
yeah,
and
that's where
Jake Paul was going to fight Mike Tyson one day. Like that's the
shot.
ultimate life's a simulation type moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
Where you hear that, and
That's-
Or like he's gonna box Nate Diaz.
yeah,
You're like, what in the
yeah,
world?
Vine though, that's funny you brought that up. It's crazy how Vine like never really took off. Like it did for a short period of time.
Twitter bought it. Well, when Twitter bought it, they ruined it. They
Yeah, 'cause-
tried to make it their own thing and they shut it down, which is super unfortunate. I like
It's kind of like
things
a TikTok
now.
almost
Yeah,
in a way, right?
like I was too young. Like that was well before the days of 10K. I feel like we would put a firestorm on Vine with how some of the weird ideas we have. I mean,
It was so cool. I like Vine.
people that was like the peak of online creativity. Is okay, you have 6 seconds figured out,
Yep.
and people did
And they did a great job to where we still quote it today.
absolutely.
I'd say Water Malone at least once
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah, or they were roommates.
Oh no, they
Have you
were.
guys seen my I think my favorite Vine of all time is if you guys remember Rye Dune, his name was. So it was him, and then one of the guys who's the older guy that like does the vlog stuff with David Dobrik, Jason
Jason Nash.
So he was like their dad, and it was Halloween, and he's like, "Hey kids, what kind of pumpkins you make?" And I think it was Brandon Cavillo was like, "I made a kick-ass bomb." He's like, and then he's like creative, and then it comes to Raidu, and he's holding a pumpkin with a circle in it, and he just goes, "I'm gonna fuck this pumpkin." Now, like every Halloween, dude, I see a pumpkin, and that's all I can think about is I'm gonna fuck this pumpkin.
in your mind.
Yeah, like just 6-second comedy or anything by Bo Burnham on the Vine was
Well,
just,
Burnham was.
I could binge those for hours.
I just love Water Malone. There's a Water Malone on my head. I don't
Yeah.
know. That one has constantly stuck with me because I think we're around the same age.
Yeah.
One of us drastically looks older than the other one, though. Especially this.
Well,
really
I can't grow a beard, so I
Oh, dude, if I cut my hair, you want a beard?
yeah, dude. Donate that shit. Just glue it on my face.
But it's like I remember being in like high school and like Vine was just starting to kind of catch on as I was graduating.
Yeah.
That was like 2015.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was gone.
Yep. Twitter bought it and they just shut it, killed it. They were like, well, we're gonna let people post videos.
What a weird time.
It really was. So we were golf and things. Obviously, we're talking more sports based here, but we were obviously throwing some golf stuff. But
Yeah.
So going back to like the Tyson thing, what was that? Why did you meet him? And to piggyback off of that, who are maybe some of the cool guests you've had on or
Yeah.
interviewed?
Yeah. So my friends who own Universal Sports Auctions, they do like memorabilia and stuff.
Mhm.
They took part in the biggest card show in Minnesota, which happens every year at the River Center, in the convention center. It's attached to the Xcel Energy.
Yep.
And they had this entire like back room thing where they were doing private signings, public signings. They had Ric Flair there. They had Mike Tyson. Dennis Rodman was there. I didn't get to meet him, but I was in like the back area where it was pretty much only employees and then like media allowed.
Sure.
And like Rodman like walked by me.
So he was there.
Tall guy, yeah. Tyson walked by me. I mean, this was before like I got to at least personally meet him.
Yep.
But a lot of the Vikings guys were there. Like I got to meet Byron Murphy Jr. I got to interview him. CJ Ham, Cam Bynum. So yeah, it was a really cool thing. And people bring memorabilia, you buy a ticket and then they sign it, you get your taken. So, and then outside of that back room was like a massive card show. And I don't know how much you guys know about that industry. It's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
I know like the grades and stuff because I've watched some of the shows on it, but there was like just a massive exchange and guys are out there like wheeling and dealing, auctioning cards.
Crazy amounts of
trading.
cards.
Yeah.
Suitcase full of cards and stuff.
They got the grades on them. I mean, it's all over my head, but I was at least there to meet the people.
I just pulled a Dansby Swanson jersey.
Nice.
Card. I hate it because I'm not fuck the Cubs, first of all.
Yeah.
Don't care. Fuck them. So I'm like ripping these packs. I'm like, oh, it's Dansby jersey. And I'm like, yay. And then like the next pack was like out of like 800 Jared Jones Pirates purple. And
Sweet.
I was like, that's better. But fuck the Cubs.
There was one stand that had high-end baseball stuff. And I think there was a signed picture by, I don't know if it was Hank Aaron or Babe Ruth or something, 35 grand.
Oh yeah.
And it was just it was an 8x10, black and white signature on it, just the same price as like a new car.
Ridiculous. Crazy. People just have crazy amounts of cash.
Well, and like before we hop on, sometimes I'll go over to Derek's apartment. Like, hey, I got this like box of like basketball cards to rip. I don't know anything about basketball. Like I grew up during like the KG era.
Yeah.
And I loved KG, right? So like a lot of the basketball cards I have are Kevin Garnett. Beyond that, no idea. Because once the Wolves got rid of him, I kind of quit watching.
Yeah, I was the same way.
Sure.
Yeah.
And there were some rough years in between.
Oh, I am well aware.
We were talking today on our show about the years where like you would buy a DiGiorno pizza and you'd get like 4 tickets for free to the Target Center.
Just trying to give them away.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And those are probably lower bowl seats. And now like those seats are $200 a pop, which
easily.
It's great. It's awesome.
Every time we've done that, I have pulled some kind of numbered basketball player card.
Is it cool? Is this guy good? Like,
yeah. I pulled one and it was like out of like 25.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Derek, is this guy any good? And Derek goes, he's all right.
I'm a big basketball guy.
That makes me feel bad because out of 25, so I'm like, great.
Still a good card. I mean, out of 25. But I will say, like, because I do collect cards as well, but like it's cool to see if the cards are, where they're at. But at the same token, it's kind of like it's
annoying.
It is a little bit. I mean, mostly. As a kid, you were able to afford cards now. I mean, you can still afford them, but now a blaster box is minimum of like $40 to $50.
Yeah,
minimum,
and you can't buy them in stores anymore because they get ransacked, right?
Oh, I get mine at Target.
You still can?
But there's people that will. Yeah,
there was a period where you couldn't. I remember.
Yeah,
I just bought a like a booster box at Target.
Yeah,
and then like what are the bigger? Not like the full size, but it has like just a little bit more.
Okay,
like a mega box. So there's a blaster, a mega box, and a hobby. But
So I got each of those at Target.
Yeah,
and it was the new MLB. They do like the festive holiday ones. They have like holiday stuff all over. I got that mega box, and I just like a blaster box of like the normal MLB stuff, and it's just right there at Target.
Well, before they used to have signs where you has like limit of like 2 boxes.
I think that was during 2020 when when that hobby just
a lot of people cost a lot of money though. I mean, like Kodancic cards were selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I may or may not have a handful, and by handful I mean a lot of like Wander Franco.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just like gambling. It's pretty much like gambling.
That's the thing. It comes down to kind of like a gamble.
Well, and like
make a lot of money, but are you in it to like make money, or are you in it to like? Is it like a hobby where you
and like the hard part is like he's such a good player.
He was the one that got convicted of.
No, he's not convicted yet.
No.
But like he's on the run again.
Yeah.
But like just really shitty human being.
Yeah. You better basketball player than human being.
Baseball player.
Baseball player. Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
Same thing.
Right.
I bet he plays basketball. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a couple more questions. So as far as Minnesota sports, He'd
Do you want to
mentioned
do one that's not sports quick? Just to kind
Yeah,
of break it
do
up. What's the worst city in Minnesota? And why is it Edina?
Well,
or is it Rosedale?
it's the Rosedale Mall.
Oh, I love that ball. Vanguard are
the
my
worst
favorite
city?
He's probably from Edina.
I'm not from
Oh,
Edina.
okay.
No, if I had to answer truthfully, and I'm sorry for those who are catching strays for it, it's St. Cloud, and I think solely
That's
it's
fair.
because as a North Dakota graduate, we have such a rivalry with their fans.
That makes
and We
sense.
butt heads all the time, and like St. Cloud is a boring enough city to where I can just use a little bit of that and say it sucks
Yeah.
because I mostly just hate their hockey fans. So I'm gonna go with that.
That's a good answer. I like that.
I'm sticking with Edina.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an Edina defender. If that's if
Yeah,
that's
no,
the thing.
no.
They're cake eaters for sure.
Oh yeah. What's your
And
favorite city in Minnesota though?
I like St. Paul a lot. I've lived there for almost 2 or over a year now. I always just liked the bar scene down
Yeah.
there, and I love the XL Energy Center in the Wild. And it's a lot quieter than Minneapolis, but
Yeah.
in terms of like suburbs, if you're talking, I like Woodbury a lot. Stillwater's awesome just because I grew up really close to there.
Sure.
I love the golf courses in Stillwater, like Loggers Trail.
It's such a great track.
Such
Wanted
a
to play.
gem.
Yeah, we'll have to get out there.
Oak Glen is a good one. If you guys ever play there,
I've played it once.
okay.
Yep.
Heard
Yep.
it's nice.
For whatever reason, I just never have like a bad round when I play in Stillwater. It's just like,
That's your spot. Because isn't Loggers and Oak? They're very close together.
yeah, they're both, yeah. Whether it's like that Oakdale, Stillwater,
Mhm.
I know it
very
lines
close.
are blurry,
Yeah.
but I feel like just pretty much. I like pretty much anything on the west side.
So to
too.
follow that up, then
Yeah.
what is your favorite Minnesota golf course?
Favorite Minnesota golf course? I'd probably have to say TBC,
Yeah.
just because I get to play it a couple times a year, and I know you guys do too.
Mhm.
And it fits my style. Like I do play really well there
Yeah,
because
you were hitting the ball really well.
yeah, it's like the high quality grass. I'm guessing it's like a bent grass. Like you just hit the ball better on higher quality courses.
You're literally hitting on like a rug,
Yeah.
a fine rug.
It's like hitting off of one of these great simulators here. And it's hard to get a bad lie. And I like that their greens roll fast too. I prefer quicker greens,
Mhm.
but then it's open, right? Like you can get into tree trouble and water trouble, but it's, I like to hit what I call a banana cut piss missile. So I like to carve the ball a little bit
We noticed.
unintentionally.
Yeah.
Well, you
And,
ever hit close to the pin? Remember you got it closer than Lee Hodges? Remember where?
Yeah. And I told Lee, I was like, hey, we're throwing fucking darts today, Lee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that we were talking shit the whole round, and then we met him, and we're like, "He's nice."
Yeah. Like we were getting a little cocky about how well we were playing, even though we were like 4 under through 13 holes
Yeah.
in a scramble.
We're also
we eagled 18 though.
we're also like 14 boxes closer,
Right.
which is wild. But yeah.
Yeah.
Then
So-
we hit the longest drive, and it was like, oh, Mike said it was actually with a 3-wood.
Yeah.
He didn't even hit driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, why'd you tell us that?
Yeah.
Now I don't feel good. But yeah, I don't know about you guys. I just like
Sure.
TBC a lot. Outside of, I love the golf tournament. I love the 3M Open. They've been good to us ever since it's been a tournament.
Mm.
Like the media day was cool, and yeah, just the course plays in my style.
I'm so happy that they have a PGA Tour event here. I mean, they had the senior tour there
Yeah.
before, but it's so like refreshing to have an actual event.
Yeah.
Get to see some of your favorites. I mean, Ricky, growing up, was one of my favorite golfers, and being able to see him right there and walk by and follow him, it's really cool to see.
Couple of the live guys before they went to live played.
Yeah.
Like
DJ
Brooks played.
They never
Brooks.
played well though.
No, I feel
One and
like
done basically.
the biggest name in that tournament never makes the cut. It's like a curse.
It's true. Honestly,
Because then a couple of years later, the biggest name was JT. The year where he was struggling, 2022 year.
Yep.
He missed the cut. I feel like the biggest name always misses the cut, but it's a fun 4 days, and I usually just take work off and I just drink every day, sit in the sun and give it.
It's a good time to have it too. I know it gets warm, but now with the events being like very competitive with points and all that,
yeah.
like it's a lot more competitive. Where
Yeah.
sometimes it was like right before or right after the
It's the week after the Open every
The
year,
Open.
which is tough because all the biggest names who were supposed to play in the 3M this year withdrew because they were competing in the Open. Justin Rose was supposed to play this year.
Well,
Obviously,
Mike was saying that it was extra hard this year because then they'd have to have the layover either here or they'd skip it and go to Paris for
That's right. That's right.
golfers that did that too.
Yeah. Because Mike was saying you could go play the Open.
Yep.
And just stay in Europe and just go straight to Paris.
Which is what a lot of the
And he was saying some guys would play the Open, get on their jet over here, play for the week, and then jet over to Paris.
Which sounds miserable. That's so much traffic.
Because you're jet lagged here and then you're jet lagged in Paris.
And think about all that to like miss the cut at the 3M Open would just be a tough week.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it'd be fairly good to like go to the Olympics, but could you imagine? I don't know if you saw that post the other day. I forget the player, but he had posted his travel expenses.
I think
it was like over $100,000, and it was just in flights.
Oh, I believe.
Yeah, Justin Thomas, I thought, posted the amount of hours he spent on a plane.
Yes, I think that was
2022.
Yeah,
it was the year where he had to play in every tournament, including ours, because he was struggling on the playoffs. So.
Yep.
Yeah, it was like, I don't remember if it was like 45 full days he was spending on airplanes. It was just some disgusting
Crazy
number that, you probably look back at and you're like, wow, that's just a waste of life.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Like, it spent a month and a half on planes this year, but
crazy.
they also have, they're living their truth.
They're pretty well catered.
It's probably not like a standard plane either. It's pretty
I
nice.
know like Spieth
Private jet.
Spieth and JT, I think, fly a lot of places together privately.
Yeah, you probably take a nap and catch up on sleep and everything. So my favorite course, I know we're talking a little bit about golf. Little hidden gem, the Wilderness up north.
Oh yeah,
You've been up there?
I haven't played it, but it's on my list.
So if you want to, my cabin's right down the road.
There you go.
Like if you need, we can do a summer thing. We can drink at the lake, jet on over to Wilderness, and then go back and drink on the lake.
Perfect. That sounds like heaven to me.
It is.
That's the way to do it.
It is heaven until we fall in the water.
Until you fall in the water, or you get so drunk in the golf course that you just start hitting shank after shank.
Well, the good news is it's like not a far.
It's
perfect.
Yeah, not a far commute.
It's literally like
a golf cart drive away.
It's like here's a Wilderness. There's like a dirt road, and my cab's at the end.
Perfect.
Did you see Black Bear there?
I was coming back from Giants Ridge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild.
Giants Ridge. I wanted to play those courses too.
They're fun.
I've heard.
Again, it's like what 20-30 minutes from my cabin.
Yeah.
So like if you want to do like a weekend,
absolutely.
Casino.
Yep. Sounds good to me.
There is a casino.
Sounds good to me.
A little boys trip.
Yep.
I'd be down for that.
Maybe we'll see another black bear.
Huh?
Maybe we'll see another black bear.
Yeah, maybe.
You almost shit yourself.
Well, you drive.
I would too.
I mean, it was nuts. I've seen it obviously at like a zoo, but like in the wild like that.
Oh, I have. Well, I've also grown up there.
Black bears are fairly harmless though, right?
Yes.
It's the brown bears,
grizzly bears,
the grizzly bears that'll actually try to attack you.
And I've grown up there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, look at the bears, and Derek's like.
It's like seeing a deer for us down here, where you're seeing a bear, and you're like, "Oh, sick! That's a bear."
Like, get my phone out.
Yeah.
Well, like the way our cabin is, we've had deer just like walk up our driveway and then just like bed down.
Yeah.
Because we had two other guys come up and they called me. I'm like, hey, where are you guys? They're like, oh, we're like out front. I'm like, okay, cool, come in. And they're like, hey, we can't. There's a deer just chilling. And I'm like, don't bother it because it'll fight you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom, two bears. We're just like, oh, because Derek won't let me drive.
Yeah, no. Drive.
What's one piece of advice you'd give to an entrepreneur looking to start a company? It doesn't have to be a social media company or anything, but just in general.
I'd say definitely like there's two main things to it. It's be consistent, but also always try to improve.
Yep.
Like never stop trying to find a new edge or a new advantage or a new improvement you can make somewhere, but also do what like you're supposed to be doing.
Sure.
Like for us, for example, like we need to be consistently posting, but we also need to be at the same time trying to improve what we're posting and the content we're making. So in my mind, I think if you can be consistent, but you're also always trying to make things better, then it's going to take time. But if you're patient, like good things will start to happen. Yeah.
Do you ever like get sick of your own content? You're like, wow, that's just like a lot of like the Vikings, for example. Or is it because it's so seasonal that by the time you're sick of it, you're like, oh, it's the twin season?
Yeah, it is tough because, it's like you have in the summertime, it's really grim, and it's like you have like the Twins and we do some golf stuff, and
Mhm.
then August hits and it's boom, it's everything at once. I mean, you get
Yep.
2 months of football, but then once hockey and the Timberwolves start, and then if like the Twins are in the playoffs,
Mhm.
They got all sports teams, or most of them.
it's really fun and it's a good time, but it's like, holy shit, it never stops until, so it's, yeah, I would say that's when
Yeah.
it gets the hardest, is when there's all this stuff happening. You're trying to keep up with it while trying to, once again, like I said, improve your business and bring on new people and manage things on the back end. You got to keep the front end cooking. So it's like, yeah.
So as far as like goal wise, where do you see 10K takes in maybe 3 or 5 years, or where would you like to see it?
Yeah. I've said this a couple times. I think it'd be the best in a couple years to get acquired, in a sense of have a bigger dog help run the business side of it so that we can focus on the content, because that's the part of it we truly love. I mean,
Sure.
let's be honest, if you're trying to make the most amount of money in your life, media is probably not the way to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, these days though, with social media and what some influencers make, that's not necessarily true, but I guess it'd be cool, yeah, to, maybe become part of a bigger family and get to focus on just content rather than taxes and recruitment. And not that I don't love that stuff, but I think it takes time away from
Mhm.
the key.
What you want to
product.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, like, in any business, your product should be number one.
Yep.
And when you have full-time jobs and you have people with families, and you also, like, are trying to run the business side of it and scale that, like, content doesn't always have first priority, and I think it should. So
Sure. What was it like when Dave Portnoy sold Barstool and then rebought it back for
$1 or something. Yeah.
because it had to do with
They were losing money.
well, yeah, but it was because I think it was like the deal with the betting.
Invest- or yeah, the sports book.
The sports book type of deal. So
Yeah.
they sold it, but there was obviously some sort of negotiation. But yeah, essentially
Mhm.
went for like $1 back. So he made all the money from selling
Yeah.
it originally and then got it back.
Which I would imagine him, like, when he had to stop being the CEO and could start being more of like a chief content, had to be like the best day ever,
For sure.
because and frankly, like, I'm the CEO of 10K Media, but I know for a fact there are thousands of people out there who would run some company better than me because they have years of industry experience,
Mhm.
and maybe they built a similar business or something. So like, half of it is I love if we could just focus on content. And the other half is like, I know that there are people who are better at this than me at certain things that, it'd be nice if they were willing to help out with.
Yeah.
Would you be worried about losing like the charm of it though? So like a good example of that is like Smosh, for example.
Mhm.
They were bought out at one point,
Yeah.
and then
Sorry.
Smosh, like on YouTube.
YouTubers, they were real old school, like early.
Yeah, like they were like the OGs.
skits and stuff.
And
Yeah.
basically they got bought out, and the company that bought them went bankrupt, and then all of a sudden they're like, we don't know what to do with
Yeah.
Smosh. So now they're up in the air. But basically the reason I asked that is because the company that was running it started out exactly what you were describing. You're like, hey, they're just gonna run it, and then all of a sudden they started to like creatively change things.
See, I think that's where you really got to do your homework,
Yeah.
and you need to ensure that you get to retain 100%
Mhm.
of creating the control.
Yeah.
That's the most important thing. And if they disagree on that, then there's no deal.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what, most content creators would tell you if anybody
Right.
offered to buy their company. They'd say, well, do I get 100% creative control? And if the answer is anything but no, kick rocks. Like,
See you later.
because that's how.
You're good at running the business, and that's what we want. You to
Right.
be. You're good at running.
Let us
creating the content.
create the product.
That's what happened to them, and then kind of after that, Rhett and Link bought them, or another like OGs on
Yeah.
YouTube, and now they own it again, which is like a cool first circle moment.
Yeah.
But I was kind of worried. Where it's like, damn, if somebody like wanted to really buy the pod, which first of all would be crazy, because that means they got to put up with me,
Yeah.
which is crazy. I have a whole staff that don't even want to put up with me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Shout out to my staff that don't listen.
Okay. Yeah. That's probably for the best.
Probably.
Yeah.
Well, nobody knows what I do, which is the genius of this thing.
Perfect.
But it's like, I couldn't imagine being like, hey, we know we got to take orders from Greg over there.
Right.
I would take orders from Greg. Shout out Pinehurst 6. I got my club cover on. But like, other than that, it's like, I would be kind of like, well, creatively, do Derek and I have to change?
Right. And if the answer is yes, then you walk
not
away
gonna work.
and you wait till someone comes along who says
Better. Yeah.
or, they say no in terms of like, they're not going to take anything from you.
That is kind of the ultimate goal, though. Like you said, it's like you have somebody that has the funds and somebody that has
Experience building and scaling and stuff.
Yeah.
It's hard to do both at the same time. Even if we were doing it full time, it's a pretty band-aid operation, I think, for most people who don't have the capital. And then, there's the option of like, do you go out and get funding, but you have to prove that you can basically generate that back. So like, yeah.
Well, you're doing a really good job. Like I said, we appreciate you having us on or you hopping on the pod with us and actually doing it live. So super excited about that. We just have some rapid fire questions for you quick.
Yeah.
I have one that's not rapid.
Okay, go ahead, fire away.
What is like a must? So obviously, for like the background, you and a couple of your guys play beer league hockey. Just sick. You're the goalie.
Yep.
Never in a million years could you throw a puck at or hit a puck at me and I'd sit there.
Yeah.
Goes to you.
It's not for everyone.
What is a must have for beer league?
You mean like in terms of a player or in terms of just
Like anything. Like maybe it's a player, but maybe you're like, hey, I need this in order to survive.
A beer?
Yeah, depending on the time, sometimes that's actually a really good question. I think you need a good group because half of it is you actually enjoy playing hockey, but the other half is like, just like a golf league, for example. Like you want to be able to show up and look forward to seeing the group of people you're hanging out with. And if you're with a bunch of, boners who think that there's NHL scouts in the crowd and they're calling players out in the lot, you don't want to be with guys like that or girls. So I've been fortunate. I play through Hockey Finder and there's pretty good culture there. So
sure.
I think a must have is just fun people that you look forward to playing with and against every week.
It's a good question.
Yeah.
So like that would be similar to, I used to play in softball, men's league for several years. And we used to play like competitive tournaments and all that.
Yeah.
But I got to the point too where, people started having kids and other commitments. And then it's like, okay, now I'm to the age where it's like, okay, I just pulled a hamstring.
Yeah.
Or growing. And it's like,
or in Marlowe's case, it's dad back.
Yeah. Or concussions.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Well, I didn't want to say concussions,
Upper body injury.
There we go.
Yeah.
I didn't want to put him on blast.
But
he's been very open about having a really bad concussion. So you're not blind.
I know.
We miss Marlo though, and hopefully we can do this again and have him on the pod.
We'll just run back 3M Media Day. 3M Media Day.
That was one thing I was talking about. We should try to like do some sort of where we can just do random like questions with people. Yeah. Like walk through.
Yeah. Also, the round we get to play if they do that again.
Yeah.
This time we got to
even if he can't play, he could just still come with us.
We got to try
the camera guy.
We have to top ourselves this year though. We got to Albatross 18.
There we go.
We got to make sure that they pair us together then.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Mike.
Well, I was going to say we know you guys know the right guy.
We do, which is weird.
Yeah.
A little less.
Favorite golf club in the bag currently? I mean, obviously we're in winter right now, but I guess towards the end of the year, what will be your favorite club?
I like my 50 degree a lot.
Nice. I like my 50 too.
Yeah, that's a wedge where you don't have to worry about hitting it too high, or it's not like it's still a really forgiving club. I actually got to get new wedges this year because all of mine are.
We know a guy, and we have a discount code.
Okay, there we go.
And we even have a discount code.
Yep.
Okay, there we go. Because I was gonna say all of mine are Vokies, but they're like different models and have different shafts. I bought them a couple years ago, pretty cheap at Second Swing with whatever money I had left in my budget.
Yep.
So they're nice clubs, but like. When it comes to wedges, I feel like they all need to be the same make and model and consistency because they all feel so different. So,
for sure.
Yeah.
Well, good. Yeah. Glad you mentioned it. We were hoping to have for this. Just create some stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'll let Dom ask this question.
Yeah, I'm gonna show him the wedges.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, let's see these things.
All
right,
They're
pretty.
Rival.
Yeah, it's a
direct to consumer.
Okay.
And like, look at the grips. Like that's a basic.
Kind of looks like a golf bike grip.
Dude, it was funny. So I got to go during the 3M Open week to a PXG event, and I got to actually sit down with Joel Damon, and I got to interview him. But he gave to like the larger group this whole speech about, I think someone asked him a question about like wedges, and he was talking about like the bounce angle and this lie and that angle and
You're like,
stuff. And
it's like, wait,
when we were one-on-one, I was like, do you actually know what any of that shit means? He goes, I know what most of it means, but some of the stuff I did just kind of pull out of my
it just
hat.
came from, yeah,
Yeah.
they just told me how to say
Yeah,
it.
like he kind of agreed, like, yeah, if you just throw a lot of numbers at people, they think,
They're like, dude, this guy's like a mad genius.
yeah, that's what I said. I was like, oh, you're actually pretty smart. Like, I don't know, like, what's a bounce angle? Like the angle I can bounce the
Yeah,
ball
what
off.
sport are we playing here? Like,
But yeah, you can use Safeguard 20. You
Okay,
get 20% off, and I believe it works on the sale price.
sweet. I see they make gloves too.
Yeah,
you
you
never
get a
have, you never
three-pack?
have those.
You get a 3-pack for $45 right now.
Yeah.
It's on sale. Still works on that too.
Okay, there we go.
So right now you can get a wedge for like $63.
That's not
Very-
bad.
yeah.
just to,
Absolutely.
They're nice. Obviously, we don't have them yet, but like I know people who use them that really like them.
Sweet. I'm not too picky, so I bet I'd like them.
They're probably pretty nice.
Yeah.
what's your go-to golf snack?
Go-to golf snack is usually a granola bar, or I like a good dog at the turn, or a good broad at the turn.
I wish they let us do that at media day.
Yeah.
They do spoil us with the
They
food
did feed
trucks.
us pretty well,
Well,
but didn't they have snacks on different holes? No, the
Had
food
a-
truck. You're right.
the food trucks.
The Mexican breakfast that they had, was that like you could get like a
Yeah.
churro or a
Yeah, they had a couple different options, and then they had the breakfast pizza with regular.
Yeah.
pizza.
I had that. I also had
the Red Savoy's breakfast pizza.
I got
Down at the-
I got fried that day. I had a half circle on my forehead.
Yeah, that was a hot day.
I
That
don't
was
know if-
July 1st.
I don't know if anybody noticed that, but like I had a half circle on my forehead after that day.
Yeah.
Oh God, what did I have? I had a pineapple mimosa.
Yep. I remember when they served those.
Instead of getting sunscreen, I went to the mimosa.
That's fair. I mean, they were serving us.
I think there's a good trade-off.
It
They were
was
serving us
Next day.
Stillies. I think Anheuser had beers there. That was a good day.
It's always a good day when they take
I-
food and drink.
well,
Yeah.
we kept going around and I kept shoving beer in my bag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
That's a
know.
go-to. Like I had to go to another commitment right after, so I'm like, dude, I'm just gonna bring these and drink these later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I took
So the beers that you don't drink, that you shove in your golf bag, I've coined the term of emergency beers for those. When like you're at a course and like maybe the cooler is empty a lot earlier than you thought it'd be, and the cart girl's nowhere to be seen, and you're on like hole 6, then even if it's piss warm, you pull it out of that side pocket and you just crack that and just hammer it. Or
Yes, I do have.
or not that I'm condoning carrying beer onto courses. This is all
Yeah,
legend.
yeah.
Right.
But, or what you could say is, I bought this the last time I played here, and I'm gonna save it for the next time I play here. That's
I like that.
that's the correct. That's the PC answer.
That's a smart.
But yeah, emergency beers, you just shove them in the
I
bag.
remember we learned, so like if you look at my bag by the pocket that's
Yeah.
clear, there's a water bottle pocket on both sides.
Yep.
We learned we can fit 2 beers in each pocket.
2.
Yeah.
That's
designed to fit 2 on each pocket.
And then like the whole apparel side, I filled mine with beer.
Nice.
I think I left with close to like a 12 banger
Yeah,
of beer in there.
I mean, dude, when someone gives you free alcohol, you take it, right?
Yeah, you can't.
Oh,
it's
dude,
like
I
Rule number
ran.
1.
you have to take it.
Yeah.
For sure.
I ran with it. I'm like, yeah, throwing it in the van so nobody can see it.
Absolutely. That's why it's there.
That's what I'm saying.
Favorite golf movie?
Favorite golf movie, I would say I like Happy Gilmore a lot.
Yeah.
More sneaky, underrated ones. I like Bobby Jones' Stroke of Genius. That was like my favorite one growing up, just covering his story.
Sure. Who's the one that, which one is the?
I like the Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, I was
one.
gonna say the show.
Tin Cup. Or not
Oh,
Tin Cup. That
that's,
one's
Francis Lamette.
World's Greatest
Greatest
Game.
Game.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
something. World's Greatest Game.
Yeah, greatest game ever played.
Greatest game ever played.
That's
That's a
actually
really good one.
very
It's where he's a caddy, right? Who becomes the player.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
I got to rewatch that one. It's been a
That's
while.
based
It's on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It is. Okay. Yeah.
It's
Well,
a Disney movie.
yep.
But I would say Happy Gilmore's probably.
Yeah.
Tin Cup's my favorite.
Tin Cup's great too, though. I
Tin
actually
Cup's a
just
good
saw
one.
that for the first time last year.
It's so relatable. Everyone's like, oh, it's only good because he sits there and hits the ball over and over and
Yeah.
over in the water. I'm like, exactly.
right.
I do that.
Yes. Like I'm
And
gonna be stubborn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Every
And,
time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dom, you can ask this second one here that we typically.
Oh, okay. So if we're doing media day again,
Yep.
Hole 1, what's your walk-up song?
Hole 1 walk-up song. This is always my walk-up song during scrambles. It's "Thief in the Night" by Wolfmaker. Or no, Joker and the Thief. Sorry.
Joker and the Thief.
Dun 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 dun.
Oh,
It's not
It's from The Hangover.
Yeah.
The most famous movie it's in.
Okay.
I also like a good John Cena walk up is always great.
Oh,
There you go.
I didn't think about
That's
that.
actually pretty good.
Cult of Personality.
Are you doing the-
CM Punk?
Are you doing the glass breaking with the John Cena too?
Oh yeah. Honestly though, if I'm walking up to the first tee, it's probably more of like stretching because I'm so fucking unathletic. I need to stretch so much before I do anything. So yeah, it's probably not going to look as cool as it sounds.
Favorite sports moment.
Favorite sports moment ever: Tiger Woods winning the 2019 Masters.
That was freaking sick.
Not at all what I thought you were gonna say.
You thought I was going to say?
What about favorite moment that you've been a part of?
I thought you were gonna
Like-
say the
like maybe like a sports game.
Well, are you asking like if it was one I was at?
Yeah,
Personally?
well, that one was just in general, but yeah,
Okay.
like this one. Personally.
Well, when I was at North Dakota as a freshman, we won the national championship. That was in Tampa. I wasn't there, but I was with a ton of my friends, and we burned down the campus, which was a blast. Dang, favorite one I've been at.
I thought you were gonna say the Minneapolis Miracle.
The Minneapolis Miracle was cool, but I wasn't there.
No, I meant just like
Just
In
Yeah.
general, that one was cool. I think for me, that one gets overshadowed just because of how horrible they played after that.
Yeah,
that
But
was my favorite because everyone's like, "Oh, we're gonna go." I'm like, we won on a miracle.
I think
my wife got mad at me on that one because
Yeah.
they were doing some like that was leading up to when I was getting married, and so there was like a shower, or not a shower, but like a venue thing that we're supposed to go to. I'm like, I can't miss this.
yeah,
I
right.
gave her the forewarning. I said, hey, we've been together for a long time, married for over 5 years. But anyway, before I said, hey, just I've faithfully watched the Vikings. I mean, I can count on my hand
Right.
how many games I've probably missed.
Yeah.
Granted, I missed a couple this year, but
Yeah.
as far as watching them, but
Well, at least it
that's-
didn't
that's-
disappoint. It's not like you missed whatever for us to get blown out by the
Right?
Saints.
I'm like calling her like
Or the
Kinda like-
Eagles.
or
next
I'm
week.
calling her like crying almost like,
Yeah.
and she's like crying because she's mad at me for not going, and we're both crying just for different.
And the best
different
part
reasons.
is, well, and the best part is there's like a language barrier.
Yeah, she wasn't crying, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
she just doesn't understand the football and how I like,
Right.
but
That's a magical thing. Sports in general are.
it is. And that's why we're having these kind of conversations in general, right?
Yeah.
It started with sports. Who would be your dream golf foursome
Dream golf or
besides us, of course? Because
Oh yeah. Well, we've already done it. So yeah.
We're gonna run it back.
That was a good question. I feel like I liked Peyton Manning a lot growing up. So, and I know he dabbles, he plays. So
They'd be
Peyton-
funny. He's funny dude.
I want him to pelt me with a dodgeball.
Yeah. So you want to get pelted by the dodgeball with him, and you want to grab Mike Tyson's ass. Those are
And I want
you
and
get a genie
hold
with
on.
3 wishes. And really do those.
And I want KG to talk shit to me.
Okay, that one's good. I kind of want KG to talk shit to me.
Like imagine so like we've asked this before. It's like your dream golf foursome. I always say KG because imagine you're playing like shit and KG's like, yeah, you motherfucker. You
Yeah.
are he's like
You do suck.
he's like, you are shit.
Yeah, and then you almost get like submissive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're doing
Yeah. So yeah, I would say
I feel like KG could just like bring that energy.
he could. He could motivate you to be better.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Right.
Kind of a hype man.
Right. But he
Different
would
way.
but
Yeah.
he would beat the shit out of you
Mhm.
and then build you back up.
Right. He'd break you
Breaks you
down
down.
and build you back up.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say it's Tiger Woods, favorite golfer. I'm gonna say Peyton Manning, favorite football player. And then third, I'm gonna go with Marc Andre Fleury, favorite. hockey player.
Mm.
That's sweet.
Yeah. So
Diverse. And
yeah, you spread it out. Spread the
I
love.
like it.
Yeah.
I just have one more, and then Don. I know we do a food related question, but what's been like the funniest moment you've had on the golf course?
Well, a couple of years ago, it's funny. This is still my picture on Venmo.
Oh God.
I was playing Grand Forks Country Club where I went to college and I worked there. Great track up in Grand Forks. And on hole 1 on the right side, there's a lot of trees. And if you hit a slice, or no, actually, I believe this is hole 10. There's a lot of trees on the right side. And I, of course, piped one in there. And then I was naturally, trying to play hero ball. And
Yeah.
I found the tiniest little window to the green. So I pull out the 4-iron and I take like a punch shot and I see it heading right for a tree. And I hear like a bunk. And then I like do this. I'm looking around and I look and it got stuck in it. It got stuck in the tree.
No
Here,
way.
hand me my phone's over to the left. Yeah, it's still my picture on.
Ruben, has the golf ball still there?
I think we might have just left it there. So yeah, this is
The wood too.
well, I can't make it bigger, but maybe I can. You can see that's me. I immediately
Smoke that thing.
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
I think it was like I don't know if it was like a dying tree, but it was like super
You should
wet.
join the Waterbury Open next week. Man.
No shit, dude. I mean, this was like a trick shot. This is like normally when you
Watch amazing golf ball whacker guy hit it in the tree.
There's a video of we were playing golf in California at a little like par 3 course,
yeah.
and everyone yells 4, and everyone else is ducking, and then there's me
Yeah, which is
looking up,
Yeah.
and the only reason I ducked is because I tripped over the thing that tells you where the tee box is.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I ducked. Everyone else is like this,
Yeah.
and I'm like, where's the ball?
Hit the deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like looking for the ball, and then I dropped a dart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so made it worth it.
finished up.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Strong.
So before we do the food,
Yep.
if you again, Nick, you're saying your best ideas come to you at like 2 a.m. I had this thought last night. I was high and eating trail mix.
Okay.
So this is me like my bedtime routine.
Yep.
If you were stuck on a desert island with like one of your guys, Marlo, other guys, whoever, who would you pick and why?
It's not Jake because he sings like the same 5 songs all the time.
Oh no.
So it's not him.
I love how that's the
I think it's Zane because he's like the most even keel of everyone. I think he's always very reasonable and rational when he talks.
Sure.
So it's probably him. Yeah, I'd say Zane. Yeah,
That's a good question.
Would
yeah.
you be stuck on an island with me, or would
No.
you like kill me?
Yeah, I probably
Yeah.
can't.
Damn.
And eat his
that's so
body.
lovely, bro. I'd be like, this island sucks.
Yeah.
Like this island sucks, and I'm like banging on trees like the drums.
Yeah.
Like that'd be me. I'd be like playing the drums, like let's go.
Or you could just cast away it and just make friends with an inanimate
With the
object.
ball.
That would be me, and I can see Derek being like, "You gotta stop."
Yeah.
I'd be like, "This is George,
Yeah.
George the coconut."
Yep. And you're like, I'm gonna fuck this coconut. You got a hole in the middle of it.
So we always end the podcast with a food related question. Dom, go ahead and ask it however you like, my friend.
Oh shit!
We're here though, so it's like
I know.
like,
We could go try it
we
after.
can go wherever.
So let's say we're in St. Paul.
Okay.
I work in St. Paul, so this is pretty cool for me.
Yep.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, where we going? Kind of walk us through it.
Okay, so this is funny because I've actually never been to this place and I know I need to go to it. But breakfast, the Hope Breakfast Bar I've heard is
Heard of it?
very
I've heard
good
it's
spot.
good.
Okay.
Lunch, I would say Tom Reed's is really good.
I've been there. It's
Mm.
got super hammered.
Have you been to?
I got really hammered there on Saturday.
Have you been to
So,
Cecil's?
I've not been to Cecil's.
Cecil's is bomb. It's
Okay.
a Jewish deli.
Oh,
Yeah, I've heard of
okay.
that.
Yeah, I had the Reuben. So
Yeah.
basically, one of my staff's like, Dom, if you had this Reuben, I'm like, you can't say Reuben and then not volunteer yourself to go.
Yeah.
He was like, can I stay on the clock? I said, absolutely. Best Reuben I've ever had.
Okay.
It's super good.
Well, I'm guessing you could probably guess what I'd say for dinner is going to be cassettes.
I was just say cassettes. You got to mention
Yep.
cassettes. That's,
Yeah, let's get some mozzarella, get some pizza going, maybe some Alfredo. That's the kind of place where I'm going to eat till it hurts because it's just so good. So, yeah.
Well, Jack, it's been a pleasure, man. Thanks for
Yeah,
hopping
thanks,
on the
fellas.
podcast. Thanks for
I'm
coming
already-
on. I know you're busy.
We're already warming up for the next 3M Open Media Day. We're going to go for that Albatross this year. And I'm just glad you guys haven't shut up about it either because I've been telling
Yeah.
people.
That's
Since
like
it
that's not
happened.
like a claim to fame.
Yeah, we eagled.
Yeah.
You don't have to say, too, that you did it in Scramble. You can just say, I
never-
eagled
Yeah, 18.
full 18.
Well, and since I finished it off,
Yeah.
I'm like, I sank the putt. And they're
Right.
like, I'm like, me, it's on video.
I got it on video.
Yeah, you did.
It's on video.
There was evidence.
and then
We got to repost.
You got to repost it.
and then
we
there's
should
Derek
just
Screech.
repost that every 6 months. Just put it
Just a little,
Yeah.
a little reminder.
We can't let
Not even
can't
like
let people forget about it.
like every other month.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's good with me.
And again, special thanks to Thomas at Bar 365 for hooking up this
I
spot.
should say that into the microphone.
Thomas, thanks so much for hooking. I was like looking at the camera trying to, but Thomas, yeah, thanks again.
If we had our wireless mics, it would work, but there's only 2 of them. And I did an extensive amount of Googling to see if we could
Get to
use
work.
more than 2. No.
Yeah.
But
And-
special thanks, Thomas. Bar 365 again in Roseville, not Rosedale, Roseville, Minnesota.
Not Rosedale.
Really cool spot. So thanks again for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sweet. All right.
Thanks, man. I don't want to